What if the biggest obstacle between us and a winning lottery ticket is something we have been doing all along? Most players focus on finding the perfect numbers, but very few stop to question whether their entire analysis strategy is flawed from the start. That mistake may look harmless at first, yet it can completely change the way we interpret patterns, trends, and winning combinations. In this video, we are uncovering the biggest mistake people make when analyzing lottery numbers and why so many players continue falling into the same trap. Take a second to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment to attract some jackpot luck today. And make sure you stay until the end because special lucky numbers will be revealed for viewers who watch all the way through. Number 1. Why most players analyze numbers wrong. What if the real reason so many lottery players never hit a major jackpot has nothing to do with luck at all? Most people believe the more numbers they study, the smarter their picks become. But surprisingly, that mindset often creates the biggest mistake in lottery analysis. Many players overload themselves with charts, patterns, hot numbers, cold numbers, frequency tables, and old draw histories until every number starts feeling important. The problem is that when everything looks meaningful, we stop seeing clearly. A huge number of players fall into the trap of forcing connections between random results. After staring at past draws long enough, the brain naturally begins searching for patterns, even when those patterns may not truly exist. Suddenly, players start believing a number is overdue, or they convince themselves certain combinations are about to appear because they have not shown up recently. This emotional attachment quietly destroys objective thinking. What makes this mistake dangerous is that it feels intelligent. It feels like hard work. The more time we spend analyzing, the more confident we become in our predictions, even if the analysis itself is leading us further away from logical decisions. Many experienced players actually become trapped by overconfidence because they trust their personal systems too much. The truth is that lottery analysis should help us stay disciplined, not emotionally attached. Smart players know how to filter noise instead of chasing every possible signal. Sometimes the biggest mistake is not ignoring the numbers. Sometimes the biggest mistake is believing we fully understand them. Number 2, the illusion of predictable numbers. One of the most dangerous moments in lottery analysis happens when we start feeling certain about what the next draw will look like. That confidence may feel exciting at first, especially after spotting repeated numbers or familiar patterns. But this is exactly where many players begin making costly mistakes. The lottery has a strange way of rewarding unpredictability while punishing assumptions. A lot of players slowly build personal beliefs around certain numbers. Some trust birthdays. Others chase numbers that appeared multiple times recently. Some avoid combinations that look too random because they feel ugly or unrealistic. Over time, these habits create an illusion that the next draw can somehow be controlled or anticipated if we study hard enough. The human mind naturally wants order, especially when money and emotion are involved. The problem is that randomness often tricks us into seeing structure where none exists. A number appearing 3 times in a month may feel important, but that does not guarantee it carries any special meaning for the next draw. At the same time, numbers that have not appeared for months can suddenly return without warning. This unpredictability frustrates many players because it clashes with the way our brains want probability to behave. What makes this mistake even more powerful is how convincing it becomes after a few lucky guesses. One correct prediction can reinforce a false belief system for months or even years. Players begin trusting emotions instead of logic, and every future draw becomes influenced by that bias. In many cases, the biggest mistake is not choosing the wrong numbers. It is believing the lottery must follow rules that only exist inside our own minds. Number 3, the truth about hot and cold numbers. Every lottery player has heard the advice before. Some people swear by hot numbers because they believe momentum matters. Others avoid recently drawn numbers and chase cold ones, convinced those forgotten combinations are finally ready to return. At first, both strategies sound logical. After all, if a number keeps appearing, it must be important. And if a number has disappeared for a long time, surely its turn is coming soon. But this is where many players quietly fall into one of the biggest traps in lottery analysis. The truth is that hot and cold numbers often control emotions more than actual outcomes. A player who sees the same number appear several times may suddenly become obsessed with including it on every ticket. Another player may refuse to touch that number again because it feels exhausted or finished. Instead of making balanced decisions, players begin reacting emotionally to recent results. The lottery slowly becomes less about discipline and more about chasing feelings. What makes this mistake so powerful is that both sides can occasionally appear correct. Hot numbers sometimes continue appearing. Cold numbers sometimes return unexpectedly. These moments create dangerous confirmation bias because players remember the wins and ignore the countless failures surrounding them. The brain starts collecting evidence that supports personal beliefs while rejecting everything else. Experienced players understand something important that casual players often miss. The lottery does not remember previous draws. Numbers do not become tired, lucky, overdue, or emotional. Those labels come from us. Once players start treating numbers like they have personalities or hidden intentions, analysis becomes clouded. And when emotions begin leading the strategy, mistakes usually follow close behind. Number 4, how emotions secretly control lottery picks. Most players believe they choose lottery numbers logically, but emotions quietly influence far more decisions than people realize. Sometimes it happens after a painful losing streak. Sometimes it appears after getting close to a winning combination. One emotional moment is often enough to completely change the way a player analyzes future draws. A common example happens when players miss a winning number by just one digit. That frustration sticks in the mind. Suddenly, the next few tickets become emotional reactions instead of calm decisions. Players start chasing the numbers they almost picked. Others become afraid to change combinations because they worry the moment they switch, their old numbers will finally hit. Over time, analysis becomes connected to fear, regret, excitement, and superstition instead of clear thinking. This emotional cycle can grow stronger every week without players noticing it. A small win creates confidence that may not be deserved. A painful loss creates desperation. Some players begin doubling down on numbers simply because they feel emotionally attached to them after years of playing the same combinations. In reality, the lottery does not care about personal history, but the human brain struggles to separate emotion from decision-making once money and hope become involved. The dangerous part is that emotional decisions often feel extremely convincing in the moment. A player may genuinely believe intuition is guiding them toward the jackpot, when in reality, emotions are simply reacting to recent experiences. Smart analysis requires discipline and emotional control. The moment fear or excitement starts making choices for us, the quality of our decisions usually begins to decline. Sometimes the biggest lottery mistake is not the numbers we choose. It is allowing emotions to choose them for us. Number 5, why more research can hurt your picks. At first glance, spending extra time researching lottery numbers seems like the smart thing to do. Most players assume that more data automatically leads to better predictions. That belief sounds reasonable, which is exactly why so many people fall into this mistake without noticing it. The deeper players go into analysis, the easier it becomes to lose sight of what actually matters. Some players study years of past draws searching for hidden formulas. Others build complex tracking systems filled with charts, color codes, frequencies, and probability calculations. After a while, the process stops feeling simple and starts becoming overwhelming. Instead of narrowing decisions down, too much information creates hesitation and confusion. Players begin second-guessing every number combination they choose. This problem becomes especially dangerous close to the actual draw. A player may spend hours selecting numbers, feel completely satisfied, then suddenly change everything at the last minute after noticing one more pattern or statistic. That constant overthinking creates instability. Many tickets end up based on panic instead of confidence. Ironically, some experienced lottery players become trapped by analysis more than beginners do. The more knowledge they collect, the more pressure they feel to build the perfect ticket. But lottery draws remain unpredictable, no matter how advanced the research becomes. The search for certainty slowly turns into frustration, because certainty never fully arrives. Smart analysis should simplify decisions, not complicate them endlessly. The goal is not to control randomness. The goal is to approach the game with discipline, consistency, and emotional balance. Sometimes players lose not because they studied too little, but because they studied so much that they stopped trusting simple, rational choices. Number 6, the biggest myth about winning numbers. Many lottery players secretly believe there are certain numbers that carry special power. Some numbers feel lucky because they appeared during memorable jackpots. Others gain popularity because of stories shared online by players claiming they discovered hidden patterns. Over time, these beliefs spread so widely that they begin sounding like facts instead of assumptions. This is where one of the biggest myths in lottery analysis quietly takes control. A lot of people stop choosing numbers objectively and start chasing myths instead. They avoid combinations that look too ordinary because they believe winning tickets should appear unusual or meaningful. Some refuse to play consecutive numbers because they seem unrealistic, even though random draws can easily produce them. Others trust famous so-called lucky numbers that thousands of players already use every week. The problem with lottery myths is that they create false confidence. Once players believe certain numbers have special value, every future decision becomes influenced by that belief. The analysis stops being about probability and starts becoming emotional storytelling. Players search for signs that confirm what they already want to believe, while ignoring anything that challenges those ideas. This mindset becomes even stronger after hearing about jackpot winners who used birthdays, anniversaries, or dream-inspired numbers. Stories like these are powerful because they make randomness feel personal and meaningful. But people rarely talk about the millions of unsuccessful tickets built using the exact same logic. The lottery does not reward myths, traditions, or emotional attachments. It rewards random outcomes. Smart players understand that the danger is not simply choosing the wrong numbers. The real danger is building an entire strategy around beliefs that feel comforting instead of realistic. Number 7, the trap most lottery players ignore. Sometimes the most dangerous mistakes are the ones that feel completely harmless. In lottery analysis, one trap catches players over and over again because it hides inside ordinary routines. Many people become so focused on finding winning numbers that they never stop to question whether their habits themselves are causing problems. The routine starts feeling safe, familiar, and intelligent, which makes it even harder to recognize the damage it creates. A lot of players repeat the exact same analysis process every week without adjusting anything. They check the same websites, study the same statistics, and rely on the same personal systems, no matter how unpredictable recent draws become. Over time, the routine creates a false sense of control. Players begin believing consistency alone will eventually force results to change in their favor. The trap becomes stronger when occasional small wins appear. Even a minor prize can convince someone their strategy is working perfectly, encouraging them to continue repeating the same behaviors for months or years. Meanwhile, they may never notice how much emotion, superstition, or bias has quietly entered the process. Instead of analyzing numbers objectively, they are simply reinforcing habits that feel comfortable. One reason this mistake is so difficult to escape is because lottery players naturally want certainty in an uncertain game. Familiar routines reduce anxiety. They create the illusion that something meaningful is happening behind the scenes. But randomness does not reward comfort zones. In many cases, players stop learning because they become too attached to their own systems. The smartest players stay flexible. They understand that analysis should remain balanced and self-aware. The moment a routine becomes automatic and unquestioned, it can slowly turn from a strategy into a trap without us even noticing it. Number 8, why certain numbers mislead players. Some lottery numbers seem to attract attention, no matter how many draws pass by. Players naturally become drawn toward combinations that feel familiar, exciting, or somehow special. Sometimes it happens because a number recently appeared in a major jackpot. Other times it comes from social media discussions, popular strategies, or even personal memories connected to certain dates. Without realizing it, many players begin treating specific numbers differently from the rest. This creates a subtle but powerful mistake during lottery analysis. Instead of viewing every number with the same level of neutrality, players start assigning emotional value to certain combinations. A number that appears frequently may suddenly feel safer or more reliable. Meanwhile, another number may feel suspicious simply because it has not shown up recently. These reactions happen automatically in the mind, even when players believe they are thinking logically. One interesting problem is that familiar numbers often create false confidence. When players repeatedly see the same combinations discussed online or highlighted in past results, those numbers begin feeling more important than they truly are. The brain interprets familiarity as significance, but in random games like the lottery, familiarity does not guarantee future success. Many players also underestimate how strongly outside influence affects their choices. A single viral story about a winning ticket can suddenly push thousands of people towards similar number combinations. Once that happens, analysis becomes less independent and more emotionally driven by public perception. Players stop asking whether the numbers make sense to them and start following what feels popular or emotionally satisfying. The smartest lottery players understand that numbers themselves carry no memory, reputation, or hidden personality. The danger comes from the stories we attach to them. Once emotions begin shaping how we view certain combinations, clear analysis slowly becomes harder to maintain. So in the end, the biggest mistake many lottery players make is not simply choosing the wrong numbers, but allowing emotions, false patterns, overconfidence, and misleading habits to quietly control the way they analyze every draw. The players who improve over time are usually the ones who stay disciplined, think clearly, and understand how easily the mind can be tricked by randomness. And if you want to go even deeper into the hidden psychology behind lottery analysis and discover why certain players seem to recognize powerful number trends faster than others, make sure to click the next video on your screen because it reveals strategies and insights that could completely change the way you look at future draws. If you enjoyed this video, do not forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment sharing your thoughts and lucky numbers. Good luck on your next ticket. Stay positive, and we will see you again in the next video.